Hi, everybody. My name is Cameron Gray. I'm Community Environmental Council's Senior Transportation and Climate Program Manager. And today I have the opportunity to talk with Estelle Reyes, the Senior Vice President of Enhancing Community for the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. She is focused on ensuring that underrepresented groups are engaged in the clean tech and sustainability sector. Prior to joining the incubator, Estelle was the executive director at the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship in Greater Los Angeles. There, she played a central role in launching and growing their teaching entrepreneurship program to reach over 12,000 students locally. She has experience as a financial analyst at Goldman Sachs and was also a first grade teacher. Estelle holds a bachelor's degree in neuroscience from Brown University and a master's degree from the Harvard's Graduate School of Education. And so, Estelle, I'm really excited to talk with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Cam.
So, Community Environmental Council is partnered with the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator to support clean tech diffusion and innovation across the Santa Barbara and Ventura County region. And we started this work back in 2016, and that collaboration has been really exciting. We've had a lot of opportunity to build new partnerships through that work, both with LACI startup companies and other groups in our region, helping to connect them up and support that diffusion of clean tech. And so this collaboration has been funded by a grant from the California Energy Commission. And I've just felt really privileged and fortunate to be able to work with you all on that project with Community Environmental Council's energy team. And so, we're all very familiar with the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. But for people who haven't heard of the incubator before, can you tell us a little bit about the incubator's mission and what you all do?
Absolutely. Yes. And first off, just so grateful to the CEC for all their support and our partnership with you. We're super excited about all the collaborations we have built and all the opportunities to come. So, just in terms of a little bit of background about LACI, it stands for the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. And we are a nonprofit organization focused on building an inclusive green economy through three strategies. So, the first strategy is called Unlocking Innovation, and it's essentially all of our work as an incubator supporting our startups by providing CEO or founder coaching and mentoring, curriculum, access to potential customers, including pilot opportunities, as well as access to potential investors to help their companies grow. So, kind of like your bread and butter as an incubator. And then what I think makes LACI stand out are our other two strategies. So the second strategy is the work we're doing around market transformation. This is the work we're doing around thought leadership and public-private partnership to move the needle on the three areas within clean tech, which we are focused on, which are zero emissions transportation, clean energy, and sustainable cities, which in this case is circular economy. And then finally, the third strategy, which is called Enhancing Community, which is the team that I work on, which is focused on creating pathways for underrepresented groups to participate in the green economy. So our work includes intentionally recruiting underrepresented founders into LACI's suite of programs, hosting workforce development programming to connect unemployed and underemployed participants with opportunities in the green economy. And then finally, deploying clean tech pilots in disadvantaged communities. So that's kind of a little holistic approach of the three strategies and pillars that make up LACI.
Yeah, it's just incredible work and it covers so much ground. Can you say a little bit more about, how Lacey has been engaging underrepresented entrepreneurs in the clean tech and sustainability sector?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first joined LACI in 2016, we launched a diversity and inclusion initiative, which was focused on building a more inclusive ecosystem that integrates more women, people of color, and other underrepresented groups into the clean tech sector and the overall tech industry. We had already all this research about how more diverse teams, understand diverse customers, drive more innovation, and perform better financially. And we realized that if we only focused, on a homogenous group of problem solvers, we would only be solving a subsection of challenges that our communities face. So we wanted to make sure that our founders and problem solvers were truly reflecting the vibrant city and county of Los Angeles. Because of that, we made diversity, equity, and inclusion an organizational priority. Over the past 5 years, we have intentionally recruited more underrepresented founders into all of our small business and startup programs. So since 2016, we've had a jump of 24% increase in female founders across our programs and a 45% increase in people of color founders across our programs. When we did this through a number of outreach events and ecosystem building with our pipeline. And then in terms of how do we support our underrepresented founders once they're at LACI, we're focused on tailoring programming to better support specific needs of our underrepresented founders. So as an example, we launched our Women in Clean Tech program, as actually predated our diversity and inclusion work, to provide our female founders across our LACI programs with distinctive support and resources. So each year we survey our female founders, we host a focus group to collect their feedback, and then create program design based on their specific needs. So elements include, curriculum support, quarterly workshops based on a pain point that our female founders had shared around access to investors. We hosted a workshop in partnership with Greentown Labs, focused on access to success, an investor workshop. We host monthly coffee meetups. Our last coffee meetup was focused on self promotion in the workplace. And then finally, we want to build communities. So we also host a virtual dinner. It might be in person this year, but a virtual dinner last year where we provided access to industry networks. So these are some just touch points and programs we've crafted to better support our underrepresented founders.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really struck by the fact that you are building community and you're building a support network for all of these startups and entrepreneurs, as well as their employees, right? To kind of really succeed and find a path forward. And it's really inspiring to hear about that. And I think what you're lifting up is just how critical it is too to have that diversity and that equity and that inclusiveness in this work, because it's really what's needed to drive the type of innovation and action that we're going to need to address climate change and all the intersecting issues, right, that come with that. So
Absolutely.
it's very inspiring work. And one thing that one of my teammates had the opportunity to do was actually go and check out the advanced prototyping center that is connected to the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. Our director of energy and climate programs, Michael Chiakos, I had the opportunity to go take a tour of that space, and he was super impressed. And so, can you tell us how enhancing community, how that program is using the center to create a more inclusive green economy?
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, we're so thrilled that Michael enjoyed his visit to our Advanced Prototyping Center. We call it APC for short. And this is actually an open invitation for all of you. Once our campus is back open, we invite all of you to come if you're ever in the area in downtown LA's Arts District to come and visit us, and we'll give you a tour. But to your question, Cam, in addition to our APC being built as a maker space for our startups, we also wanted to make sure we leveraged the unique assets at our state-of-the-art APC, which it includes a machine shop, a digital prototyping lab, an electronics lab, a welding shop, print and sewing lab, and a wet lab, utilizing all of those tools and labs and equipment to benefit our broader community. So in 2019, we launched our flagship APC, so Advanced Prototyping Center Fellowship Program, which is a multi tiered workforce training program that, as I mentioned earlier, provides and underemployed participants with technical training, leveraging the assets in our APC. interpersonal skills, industry recognized certifications, and then direct job opportunities with LACI startups and partners so that they can thrive in the green economy. Previous cohorts have focused on prototyping and manufacturing, EV network technician training, so essentially servicing EV chargers when they're broken. And then our current cohort is focused on software development and IT support as it's related to electric mobility. So, what's great about our APC Fellowship Workforce program is that it's designed to provide multiple points of impact, not only providing our fellows with opportunities for gainful employment in the green workforce, but it also supports our startups and partners with a pipeline of trained technical talent.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that our team has been talking a lot about is how incredible that center is and how great it would be to see something like that come online in our region. And so, we continue to kind of talk about that and think about that and ask ourselves, like, what might that look like for communities here in Santa Barbara and Ventura? And through this project, we've actually been able to have some conversations with people that have maker spaces. And so it's just interesting to learn more about this work and kind of imagine where it might go locally. Um,
Yes.
and so much of the work that you do is rooted in LA, but it is having this broader impact, right, through the partnerships and collaborations that we've been able to have outside of the LA region. And a big part of what the incubator does is work with the startup companies that you're supporting, right? And so I'm really curious, do you have like any of the companies right now that are favorites, or you're really excited about what they're doing? Or maybe even just some stories that you could share about the startups that you've been working with.
Yes, happy to. And it's hard to pick favorites because they're all so strong. But I'll highlight two startups and a couple stories around them. So one of these rock star startups is called Charger Help, which is focused on getting EV charging stations and people back to work. We actually had the fortune of working with both of the co-founders of Charger Help before they started their business because they were our partners for our workforce development program focused on EV network technician training. So it's actually beautiful how this all kind of comes full circle. But since then, Charger Help has skyrocketed. So we all know, with the coming wave of electric vehicles, we are going to need to build a more robust infrastructure for charging. And we'll need to make sure that those chargers work. So Charger Help is an on-demand repair app for electric vehicle charging stations to service EV chargers when they go down. And their unique model, I love this part because they also partner with local workforce development centers to train and hire employees in the areas where the stations are located. Since the company launched a little over a year ago, I think they launched in January 2020, they've raised 2.7 million from investors and are valued at 11 million post money, which is really phenomenal. Super honored to be part of the Charger Help journey. So that's one. And then I'll give you a second example. So we also have Ampere, which is developing high performance, zero emission aircraft to transform the landscape of aviation. We had the opportunity of incubating Ampere soon after they first launched in 2016. So what they do is they've developed a hybrid electric propulsion system that can be dropped into small turboprop airplanes to replace their internal combustion engines. So this lowers the fuel cost, lowers the maintenance, and lowers the noise. So Ampere was actually the first company to ever demonstrate a hybrid electric flight in Maui, which went from Kahului to Hana in about 20 minutes. This past February, Surf Air Mobility announced that they were acquiring Ampere because Ampere's hybrid electric powertrain technology, they called it, was a critical component of Surf Air's plan to expand an environmentally friendly regional transportation. So super thrilled about Ampere's success as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love those two examples because you can both see how local some of the work that's happening is with like workforce development happening, charger help, and then you can see the global scale of some of the work that's happening through the incubator with these new technologies being developed for electric propulsion that can move airplanes right across the globe. And so that is really exciting, and it's incredible that it's just a 2 hour drive away from where we are in Santa Barbara. Um, so uh, I guess one of the other things that we're really curious about, you touched on this a little bit with Charger Help, but the opportunities that are going to be coming forward to advance green, clean workforce development. What do those look like, and how do you see clean tech supporting the region's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic?
Fantastic question, and really great timing as well, because this past January, LACI published a green jobs report, which offered an in-depth analysis of green jobs in LA County and also lays forth a course of action to grow an economy in LA that is greener, stronger, and more inclusive. So, as part of this report, LACI's committing to working with regional stakeholders and other partners to achieve our goal of creating 600,000 green jobs countywide by 2050, which is an ambitious but achievable goal if we're able to work together to implement the report's recommendations. So, I'll highlight the key recommendations here. So the first recommendation was to accelerate economic recovery. So to your question, post COVID, like how do we accelerate economic recovery? So we can do that by driving green job creation through continued public investment as well as infrastructure stimulus. So including, for example, President Biden's $2 trillion stimulus package. So as the other piece of that, so recommendation number two is bolstering the workforce pipeline. So this includes building capacity to create more responsive and nimble workforce training for future segments of the green economy. Just kind of as Cam, you shared, like just the way Charger Help is doing that. So thinking about the direction that green jobs are going to be going, and then kind of working backwards to create a workforce training program that's better aligned with those longer term job opportunities. And then recommendation number three is advance equity and inclusion. So all throughout this process, really being intentional and working to increase underrepresented populations in green industries through training for high road employment opportunities. So making sure that they're not just employed, but they're employed in high road jobs, which will give them more opportunities to um, to succeed and thrive and contribute back to their communities. And then finally, the last recommendation is to think about all of this work as a whole, because one of the challenges that we saw as we dug into this work in our green jobs report is like we don't even all align on what a green job is, right? So like thinking about how do we clearly define green jobs and track metrics. So the recommendation here is to improve evaluation of green industry performance metrics at both the state and federal level. So that's just a little bit of an overview of our green jobs report, which directly addresses your question, hopefully, about how to advance green jobs and how to support our recovery post COVID.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that we're really aware of, right, and probably most people who are working on climate change see is how much change is going to happen at the social and economic levels as new solutions are implemented, like electric vehicles, right? These new markets emerge, and that has very broad impacts and benefits, but it also does create a lot of change for the workforce. And so I think it's really important to do what LACI has been doing, to look at how can we help that change happen in the most dignified way possible for all of our communities, right? And really involve them in that process. And that's something that I see the enhancing community program doing through all the different programs that you have. And so it makes me ask this question that is more locally focused. What can community members in Los Angeles and other regions do to help create this visionary, vibrant future that the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator is working towards?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think one of the things we want to emphasize is that even though we're located in LA, through these beautiful collaborations, we want to be located everywhere in partnership with all of you. And definitely have a soft spot in my heart for Santa Barbara, and just wanted to wish everyone a happy Earth Day in Santa Barbara as well. So yeah, we would love to engage community members in LA and Santa Barbara and beyond, to join us in building an inclusive green economy. So I'll highlight, three ways. One is to join us as collaborators, as we are with Cam. So just thinking about how can we continue to build out our clean tech ecosystem. So please let us know if there are any organizations in your local communities that are doing similar work around clean tech and sustainability, so that we can explore opportunities to collaborate. The second point is, I'd recommend getting engaged with LACI program. If you're LACI programming, if you're interested in learning more, you can visit us at laci.org. So LACI.org, because we'd love to engage you either, at the ideation stage, if you're interested in joining one of our startup programs, at the workforce stage, if you're interested in, participating in one of our workforce development program, and finally, at the deployment stage, if you're interested in engaging with one of our community pilot deployments. And then finally, I would say, be an agent of change. So as we're thinking about, celebrating Earth Day, think about the role you can personally play in addressing climate change in your local community, and being personal about it. Like, what does that look like for you? So is it utilizing public transportation or electric mobility? Is it buying only sustainable goods? Is it powering your home with renewable energy? Is it reducing water waste? And then another way too is just thinking about how you can, mobilize for local climate action in partnership with local government leaders, and figuring out like how you can utilize your agency to rally your community around interests that you're passionate about. So yeah, so that's just a snapshot of some ways we would love to engage you all in our mission, and would love the opportunity to collaborate with you all further.
There are a lot of ways that people can get involved with the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. So many great events. We participated in several of them last year. Community Environmental Council, our staff were at Power Day, which there's going to be another Power Day later this year. And that was actually where I first heard about Charger Help and some of the other clean tech incubator startups. And one of the things that we're able to do right through those events is deepen our understanding of what they do, where they're at in terms of their pilot projects, and then connect them with people in our region. And so, there was actually one local government that we were able to help out just by saying, hey, we understand you need some maintenance done on your EV charging stations. There's this company that's affiliated with the incubator that might be able to help with that.
Oh,
Um,
thank
so we're
you.
still we're still waiting to see where that conversation goes. It was recent, but it's those types of exchanges that really show the power of the network and the collaboration that we've been able to kind of build over time together. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I think we have a little more time to go through a couple other questions, if that's okay with you,
Sure.
questions that we have. So one of the things that I'd heard about through Power Day and some of the other events are projects that are happening in communities in Los Angeles that are rolling out some of the clean tech solutions, right, that LACI is involved with on the ground. And I think some of these projects have been in collaboration with community-based organizations. And I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit more about some of the enhancing community projects that have been going on in like the last couple of years, and what those look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a pilot project that we're working on in collaboration with our market transformation pilots team. So in 2019, we launched a zero emissions mobility and community pilot project fund. where we issued out a request for communities to highlight some of their community pain points around zero emissions mobility, whether it be access to micro mobility options or access to EV charging. And then simultaneously, we also issued out a request for startups in this space to showcase and highlight their solutions. And then, based on all of these applicants, we did a little matchmaking and identified 4 communities to deploy zero emissions mobility pilots. So we have a pilot program in Long Beach. As you mentioned, all of them are done in partnership with community based organizations. So this one was done in partnership with the Long Beach Conservation Corps, where they were sharing that they needed some kind of zero emissions mobility like support for their core members. So we deployed one of our startups, Irby, where the core members could actually use Irby to help pick debris up from across the river using zero emissions, which was terrific. So that was one pilot, Irby and the Long Beach Conservation Corps. And then we have 2 pilots, one in Pacoima in partnership with Pacoima Beautiful, and then one in San Pedro, which is done in partnership with Hackla Rancho San Pedro. Both of those are car shares. Done in partnership with our LACI startup Envoy, where we have car share stations at both of those communities, just to introduce electric vehicles to the broader community and to give them cost comparable options to get around their communities utilizing an electric vehicle. So the goal is just to introduce them, and then ideally incentivize them to potentially purchase an EV in the future. And then the last pilot I'll highlight is the one in Lamert Park. So here we actually have 2 startups deployed. One is Circuit, which is a neighborhood electric vehicle shuttle, which kind of goes around the community and picks up people that go around a certain route around the community. And it's a great way to just introduce a broader swath of community members to zero emissions mobility via the shuttle. And then we also have Zumo that is doing electric bike rentals in the community. So you can rent them either as an individual or for delivery. But it's a great way to highlight that we have e-bikes and this is what it's like to ride them, and how effective they can be in your daily life. So this is a little bit of a snapshot of some of our awesome zero emissions mobility community pilots.
Definitely. I mean, it's great to hear about that because I think it gives a window into some of the solutions that we could see locally, right? If we're able to support more of this diffusion of clean tech innovation into the region. I mean, there's one example of a project that's going to come online hopefully later this year with the Mixteco Indigena Community Organizing Project in Ventura County. They were actually able to receive some grant funding with a local government agency, the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance, to get a plug-in hybrid van, and they're going to use it to transport community members to like medical appointments, right,
Yes.
to community meetings, and it's really going to be an entry point for these community members to experience an electric vehicle and kind of think about how might this fit into my life or my community, right? And so it can also be an entry point for our learning and for other partners learning about what types of clean tech solutions are really going to be most in service to the communities that we're working with. So it's great to kind of look at Los Angeles as this. It's almost like a microcosm where you're further ahead, right? You're doing some other things, and we can kind of draw some of that up here and get people to think about it and maybe imagine how could this fit in our communities, or how can we talk with people about this. So, and I think the electric bike project was that with right on
Yeah,
the
Anna and Rena, okay,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So it's funny because at one of your Power Day events, I actually got to talk with him in like a breakout room, and he was telling me about this. He was actually working at the bike shop. He just like had it up on his cell phone, got to
Oh,
connect with him, and it was really inspiring to hear, what he was doing with those bikes. And it's actually something that there's a bike cooperative inventor, a bike venture, and we were talking with them about it, and they were like wanting to learn more about it. So it's really, again, it's amazing how you build the connections, you have the relationships, these conversations happen, and it can really permeate into all these different spaces and community organizations.
Oh
So
my gosh, I love that. And Cam, it just warms my heart that we have worked so closely over these years with with both you and then the whole community environmental council to just you could do this interview for me because of how much you've engaged with us. So just speaks as a testament to this beautiful collaboration we have.
absolutely. I mean, it's been just a really incredible partnership, and I think it really also highlights the importance of this type of funding that the California Energy Commission provided to support the collaboration across our organizations. And I know you're doing similar collaboration with, Sustain SoCal and these other groups that are supporting clean tech innovation and diffusion in their areas outside of Greater LA. But I think it really is critical to have that support, right? Because it's really what allows these conversations to happen. So I think there's so much more that we could talk about, but I think we're at about a half hour. I think we can go ahead and wrap up. And I just really appreciate having the opportunity to talk with you, and really appreciate you sharing all the great work that you're doing with the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator, so that people in Santa Barbara who are attending Earth Day can learn more about it.
Oh, thank you so much, Cam. Thank you so much uh, to the CEC for all of your support, to the Community Environmental Council for having me, and just very excited about continuing this work and looking forward to connecting with you all. If you're interested in learning more, can I give contact information if people
Yeah,
want to?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so just if you want to link up with us, our website, as I mentioned earlier, is laci.org. And then if you want to email me, my email is Estelle, Estelle, at LACI or laci.org as well. So just would love the opportunity to connect and collaborate with you all.
Thank you so much, Estelle. It has been just an honor to talk with you. And I look forward to continuing the conversations as we continue collaborating together.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cam. Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Yeah, happy Earth Day, everybody.